All right, so output parsing. With our AI agents or our basic chains or our AI nodes, we can structure the output and give it a JSON example to work off of, and that will help us do things later as far as like using variables and dragging them around or whatever it is. Sometimes we don't want the output to be in one big field. So what I mean by that is let's grab an AI agent and we will chat with it with the connected chat trigger node. We'll add a system message and say, create an email and a subject. So that I'm just going to leave it as simple as that. Like that's not obviously what you'd want to do, but just to show you guys how this works, we're going to grab a 4.1 mini. That's going to be fine for now. And anyways, so let's see what we do. We're going to chat. We're going to say, help me write an email to Bob about being late to the meeting. He is in big trouble. Okay, so I send that over. What happens is we get a subject and an email, right? And so here we have a subject and an email, and it's all in one JSON string. And so that's not great, because if we wanted to send that actual email, what we want to do is, let me just make myself smaller again, way too big in here. What we want to do is we want to say, okay, let me drag the subject into here, and let me drag the actual message into here. But the issue is we only have one field to drag in, and they're all it's all combined. So what we want to do here is use a structured output parser. So this is how I would approach that. Come into ChatGPT, I would say, help me write a JSON example for a structured output parser in N8N where I want the AI agent to output a to email address, a subject, and the email body in 3 separate fields. Okay, so we got that. Going to send that in. And we can now see that it's going to give us this output parser. So it's 3 fields in JSON. It's a to email, a subject, and a body. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come into N8N, and you can see there's no way for us to connect a structured output parser. So I'm going to click in here. I'm going to turn this switch on, which says require specific output format. And now we have a new tool right here called Output Parser, or a new option. Click on that, and there's a couple things here. Pretty much 99% of the time, when you're trying to structure an output, you're just going to use the structured output parser. The auto-fixing one basically lets you use AI to help you structure it. I don't ever use that. It doesn't seem to be very helpful because the AI is using, like we already have AI going on in the brain of this agent. So I'd never use that. But structured output parser, right? So we're going to generate from a JSON example. I'm going to paste in the example that ChatGPT gave us. And now what we can do is when we chat with this agent, help me write an email to bob@example.com. He was late to the meeting and he's in big trouble. So we'll send that off. And now, okay, sometimes it won't let the workflow run if there's an issue, which there wasn't here. So I just deactivated that node. Let's just send this off again. Now it should be outputting 3 different fields, as you can see, and now we can use these. So if I come back, if I undeactivate that node, so I just reactivate it, now we have 3 different things. We have a to email, which I can drag in there. We have a subject, which I can drag in there. And then we have a body, which I can drag in down there. And now the agent's actually been useful to us, so we can automate this whole thing. Because now we could actually send these emails. So that's like, at a high level, how the structured output parser works. That is when you want to use it. And typically we're just going to be using the structured output parser, not the list one. The list one's super buggy, but that's basically, returns the results as separate items. If you wanted the agent to create a list of things where you could say, hey, help me generate like 10 ideas for a grocery list, it could output all 10. What I would do there is I would just use a structured output parser that would have like item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5. But I think the idea here is that it would be more dynamic. And that's where, once again, you actually could use the auto-fixing output parser to generate that JSON example dynamically. But everything I've seen, pretty much every single use case, whenever I need to do that, I'm just using this one. So I wouldn't overcomplicate it. I would just stick with this one. And if this is really not working for what you need to do, then you can maybe look at, okay, do I need one of these other output parsers? Or maybe I'm just not setting this up right. So that's how this works.